Okay, I've had quite a few questions about our solar setup in our vehicle recently. So, just quick informal video. As you can see, I just use a basic electrical box. It was originally a waterproof IPX rated box, but then I drilled holes into it, so it's not anymore. This is the controller I use. It's a Victron MPPT controller. The MPPT is multi-point power point tracking, I believe. The 7510, the 75 volts, and it gives off 10 amps. That's the Bluetooth symbol, so it's app ready. Okay, so what I've done, and what everybody will have to do, is obviously has your feed from the controller to the battery. This is an output feed. This is an input feed. PV is your solar panel input. Then there's a load feed. Now, with these controllers, what a lot of people are not aware of is the load is rated at the same amperage as what your controller is. So if you've got a 10 amp controller, you've got a 10 amp load. 15 amps, 15 amps. Right. The cabling I've used, you don't want to use thinner than this. Thicker, if you can, no worries. If you can't, it's fine, but this is as thin as what you want to go. You've got 3 little lights here, a blue, a yellow, or a green, signifying different levels of charge. Okay, so that's literally how it sits. What I then do is this gets put into a bag when I'm not using it. This is my battery connection. Okay, from battery steps into some very thick cabling that goes directly into the battery onto the terminals. Right. This here is an extension cord. It's 10 meters long, and it runs all the way to my panels. Okay, so these are the connectors I use. These are MC4 connectors. A lot of people cut them off and they use Brad Harrison plugs or Anderson plugs. I'm not a fan of that, simply because look at them at the moment, and I'm not even out. We just parked in my driveway. It's sopping wet, it's been raining all night, and I'm not worried about them. A Brad Harrison plug or an Anderson plug is not waterproof. It's not dustproof. It is not weatherproof. These have internal grommets. They have got internal O-rings. They are, I won't say waterproof, but they're definitely water resistant. The dust doesn't get into them, and they are a lot more durable in terms of corrosion than what an Anderson plug is. So yes, this is not winning any prizes for neatness, but that's how it works for me. So another thing you'll see here is obviously this is now a 2-into-1 connection. So it's a parallel plug, so it allows me to run 2 different panels simultaneously. A lot of people will recommend that you connect your stuff in series because then it gives you a much better output in low light conditions. However, with a quality MPPT controller, that's not necessary. And the biggest problem with a series connection is if you lose one panel, you lose your entire connection. Whereas parallel, if I lose this panel, I just remove that panel from the line and things carry on as normal. So yeah, the reason I'm running the cable, the extension cable, is when we do camp out, sometimes the vehicle will be parked stationary and I don't want the car in the sun. I want to try and keep it in the shade. Obviously, the hotter it gets in here, the more my fridge works. The more my fridge works, the more it sucks power from the battery, and you want to try and avoid that as much as possible. So having a 10-meter extension, it gives me the option of removing the panels from the roof and putting them in the sun while I have the vehicle in the shade. Okay, so this is basically how I'm keeping my battery charged up without the vehicle being used during lockdown. And you can see It's got two green lights which indicate 13.2 volts, and this is the weather we're looking at. 5 minutes ago it was raining. It's still drizzling. I doubt you can see it though, but yeah. Very effective system. This is not illuminated purely because I have unplugged the feed from the main battery. Thanks guys.